So hello everyone and welcome to WICT Wednesdays. I'm Anne Thompson, the president of the Washington DC Baltimore Chapter of Women in Cable Telecommunications. And today I am very, very happy to have as my guest one of our fellow board members, Monika McGhee. And we're going to be talking about balancing entrepreneurship and working full-time. So Monika is co-owner of Magnolia Baking Company. They specialize in small batch made-to-order custom cakes and desserts. Monika not only helps run the bakery, she also manages the marketing and social media, while at the same time working full-time for Comcast. And as I said, on top of that, she's also a member of our board. So welcome, Monika. This is so much fun. I'm excited to chat with you today. So first of all, can you tell us how the bakery got started?
So believe it or not, we did not start as a bakery at all. We started out catering. My husband is also on the call. And it was really a situation where we were looking to get into doing something that we both enjoyed, and we both enjoyed cooking. And we had a lot of positive feedback and praise from family and friends and neighbors who would come to our house for gatherings. And just a lot of questions around if we would sell, those items. And so when we started out as catering, we started to get more requests for our baked goods than our savory items. And it was a decision that we made to make the switch. Baking is definitely a passion of mine because it was something that I always did with my mom. And being from the South, my mom is probably what you would call the quintessential Southern belle. And, a lot of that time was really special for me to be able to do that with her. But growing up, I didn't have a desire to cook, but I used to always love my mom's baked goods and treats. And it just transitioned into that. So we decided to start focusing just on the savory side of things. And we also wanted to leave something for our kids and hopefully get them involved, since we are, my husband and I, we have a blended family. So he had 2 sons when I came into the relationship. I have a son and a daughter. And we decided that we wanted to make it a family affair. And it seemed like it would be something that we could all get into. And in fact, that's how we came up with the name, by blending the 2 worlds that we were from. My husband is from Baltimore City, so that's where the charm comes from. And then I'm from Mississippi, the Magnolia State. So that's how we even came up with the name.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I wanted to ask you, because I went out to your website and I saw that you do cakes and cupcakes and things like that. But what other types of desserts do you do? And do you have like a specialty cake or a specialty flavor?
So we do pies, we do even dessert bar treats, like you would find petite items, chocolate covered Oreos, pretzels, candy apples, you name it. Even now getting into the season, the hot chocolate cocoa bombs. So we tend to look at what's sometimes trendy, but not allowing that to be the sole thing that we create from. Our signature item would be our red velvet cupcake, as well as cake. It's one that we get requests for all the time. Next to that, I would say it would be our rum cake, which has really taken off, especially during the holiday season. And we're in the space of making miniature versions of those. It seems like everybody wants small portions now. After that, I would say we have a signature cookie. So in addition to that, we do cookies as well. And we have Mahogany Bell cookies that are really a specialty now. So they have 5 different types of chocolate. Also like a truffle chocolate drizzle that goes along with it. You can get them with or without nuts. And that's also a favorite.
Wow, that sounds amazing. So thank you for giving us that overview.
Sure.
Okay, so now on to the topic. So a lot of the articles that I've read about balancing being an entrepreneur with another job or with your family is to maintain a good work-life balance. So how has it been running a business with your husband? And have you been able to maintain family life versus business life although you said you wanted to make it a family affair, so maybe that was the key to it all.
Well, things have definitely changed, is what I will say, because all of our kids are now adults. So we don't have, no one lives here. We have kids out of state. My daughter mentioned that she was probably going to pop on and join the call as well. But everybody has morphed into a different space with what their interests are. So we're very fortunate and lucky to have some involvement from the kids. But I think from everything that we've done, they are starting to look at their own business ventures, which is really exciting. So they've been able to take a lead from us in that space. As it relates to me and my husband, there are times where it can be a little upside down. I just personally don't believe that there is a perfect work-life balance. I don't think that you can achieve that balance. I think more of my focus has been being off balance on purpose. And what I mean, there's a great TED Talk, by the way, that's called Off Balance on Purpose, that has really given me a different perspective when there are times to be focused on your health, times to be focused on your business. And so there are other times when a certain area of your life, these 5 aspects of life, whether it's career, family, they're going to require more of your attention. And so for me, I've just really gone with the flow with recognizing there are times that my family needs me more, and then I have to make a shift and cut back in my business. Then there are times when I need to focus more on my career at Comcast. And a couple of years, I would say about 5 years ago, when I first moved into the current role that I had, it was me needing to learn 75 new certifications. So that took a priority. So I've just constantly looked for ways that I could be off balance on purpose. And aside from that, we have to schedule everything from what we're going to do personally, professionally, shopping, invoices. Automation has definitely been key for us now. And we've definitely learned to work smarter with automation and calendars. Even through Square, using the appointment feature for our customers, it's really helped us not to drop things.
Yeah.
So, and then there are times when we realize we're too heavy on the business and work, and we take a hiatus. And normally that's in October, where we just unplug from everything for about a week and a half to 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's important. And I was going to ask about the logistics because I am familiar with that issue. Not many people know I actually, in 2016, I had a small batch chutney business that I ran concurrently with my full-time job. And it was literally every minute of every day felt like it was scheduled. It was like, we're going to chop the onions this time, and then we're going to roast the third. We're going to shop lunch, and then it was challenging. So I can see that having to have that, extra logistics really is the key to making sure you're not dropping something. But what would you say is the most, with everything that's going on with you, what's the most difficult thing that you have to deal with?
I would probably say just that, making time, as someone who's multi-passionate, making time to fit everything in, but also making sure not to neglect home life, whether that is cleaning, but also having a mentor and a business coach has been extremely helpful to keep us on track from, working harder, and working smarter. I think that's been the main thing. But most difficult is just the scheduling, the logistics of it all, and trying to find the time to unplug and practice self-care.
Yeah.
Like I think even with my husband on this call, he would probably say I don't practice enough self-care, but there are times when I do absolutely positively listen to, I need a break, I have to stop, or saying no, being able to say no. You don't want to let anyone down, especially in this type of business when they're celebrating special occasions. that ability to prioritize and focus on what are the top 5 or 4 or 3 things that I need to get done in that day. I've really had to stick to that. But from a human side of it, it doesn't always feel good to tell someone that you're not going to be able to do their order because you're booked. And for me, I think that's probably where the guilt comes in and what challenges me the most.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah. I'm very curious about the logistics of the bakery because, as I said, with my company, I didn't work out of my own kitchen. DC has certain rules and regulations that wasn't feasible. So I used a commercial kitchen. I used Mess Hall in Northeast. How do you manage that piece of it? Do you use your own kitchen or are you working out of a professional kitchen?
Fortunately, Maryland cottage food laws have changed, so we are able to use our own kitchen for our small batch business. We have on different occasions, though, used a commercial kitchen depending on the size or the event or what it is that we're needing to produce. So the fortunate thing is because under the Maryland cottage food laws, we can totally bake directly from our kitchen, and that's been helpful. The only time where, we really need to move to a larger space is when we need to do mass production for special events.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really good because that's a whole nother level of logistics and coordination.
But what's also interesting too is that you can contract with a lot of businesses who now have commercial kitchens within their space and they're not using them, especially now in this period of COVID. It's the best time to negotiate those types of things, to be able to use that space. And that's been extremely helpful. And even having people who want to have you produce baked goods for them and resell them in their restaurant. So lots of different ways when you think about having a pivot and re-innovating in this space. I think we've probably done more business now than we ever have, especially offering contactless pickups. So we do contactless porch pickups. We do contactless delivery, and we also do contactless meetups as well.
That's great. Yeah, that's really great. So what, if you had to boil it all down, what would you say is your favorite part of being an entrepreneur?
For me, it's seeing a vision that started out maybe on paper, an idea from a customer, or a thought in my head come to life. I think that's probably the best thing to see it manifested, whether it's a cake, it's it's part of a party package that maybe they got because we are able to make custom toppers that go along with their cakes. We're able to provide them with really pretty much any type of personalized experience. And the joy that I get from that is usually when it's around a kid's birthday party. Like I think for me, that's the most exciting thing is to see my smallest customers, their face come to life. They're also probably the most vocal when it comes to feedback, whether it looks exactly like, oh, this looks exactly like that character, or, you nailed it or you didn't nail it. And so it's always great to see, if it's a unicorn cake or Sonic the Hedgehog or whatever it is, when they see it and they connect and identify with it, that's where I get the most joy. And then next to that, I would say, just getting a lot of excitement from knowing that I was able to produce a product and there was no middleman involved, and hearing the joy or just knowing that my cash register rang, and it was for me. It was not a profit for another business or an entity, but it was something that we made.
Yeah, I understand that absolutely. So one last question before I switch it over to the group to see if anybody else has questions for you, is the recipes that because you mentioned your mother, are any of the recipes that you use old family recipes, or are they based on them?
Yes, there are. So the sweet potato pie is my mother's recipe, and also the red velvet cake is my mother's recipe. And so only a handful of people know that, and I definitely guarded with everything. But, I'm also looking at venturing into a new space with our business, and that is to host some online cooking sessions for people who want to become bakers, or for people that just want to do a nice dessert for a celebration. So the next wave of this, as far as what I see happening, is being able to combine what I do now as a senior leadership instructor with what my passion is. And so I've had a lot of people who've reached out who are bakers, wanting tips, wanting to pay for a one-on-one class. So that's the next thing that I'm working on as another level of revenue, of stream of income here, to be able to do one-on-one cooking classes or baking classes, small group classes as well.
That's a great idea. And I can't wait to learn more about that. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome. I didn't mean to cut you off. So let's turn over to the group. Does anybody have any questions for Monika or for Greg, if he's willing to chip in?
Yeah, he's so quiet right now.
I've been looking at your Instagram, and it looks delicious and so good. Do you do it yourself? I mean, how do you do your marketing and promotion of it to get people to learn about you? Do you have staff, or is this something that you guys, just the two of you, sort of putting it all together?
So I usually handle all of the social media. And the great thing about that is having tools like Canva and Hootsuite. So there are times that I schedule posts. I also use a social media manager when it comes to national holidays, certain things that our audience would connect with. I'd love to do a lot more of that, but when you are the only person, it can definitely be challenging. So I've recently reached out to a couple of students at our local community college to see if they would be interested in interning for social media marketing, just to get them exposure, experience. And so that's another way for me to work smarter. And I've gotten some really positive feedback. I'm now putting together sort of policies and procedures that says, when we're using certain things, these are the logos, these are the color palettes that we use. So now I'm working behind the scene to put together the instructions for here's what to use, how to use it, when to use it. So there won't be the question behind that. So right now I'm being creative, since, we're not in a position to hire full time, of course, but I'm looking at helping another student be able to get that type of exposure that they need for college credits.
That's great.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then, so COVID is, working from home. Has that made it, I just find that I have more time, I guess. I'm not commuting. I'm not really getting dressed every day. I mean, we can see that. So I technically have more time, but I'm also at home with two children, and it feels like I have less time and I'm getting less work done. So how is it trying to balance two jobs, when sort of the world turned upside down, and you were busy before, but I'm sure you had a rhythm to it. And when that all gets disturbed, how are you able to get into a new rhythm?
I really love this question because on 2 points that I immediately have reaction to, it would be, do I have more time? Just much like you said, in some regard, yes, because a lot of my time was spent for Comcast traveling and on the road. I would have sessions in the Beltway market between Delaware, Virginia, also Maryland, and then sometimes I could even be called up to facilitate nationally. And that meant I didn't have a lot of time at home Monday through Friday. So most of our orders initially were kept Thursday through Sunday. And aside from that, we would do appointment only. And what I've found now in this COVID state is, because we're no longer traveling, we're no longer on the road, we're not having in-person sessions. I'm also working on special projects now at Comcast. So I'm I'm really not even facilitating virtually as much anymore. So I'm now able to use nights, so some evenings, to be able to do appointments that I typically wouldn't be able to take. And that's helped to increase revenue. I've also been really surprised, maybe because people are at home, and also maybe because some bakeries, some national chains also are not doing certain types of cakes. We are still doing what we can to help promote small gatherings, but chains like Costco have stopped producing sheet cakes. And
Right, that's a lot of cake for a very small group.
absolutely. And now a lot of people just want small celebration cakes, and we do as small as a 6-inch. And, you know, we're able to offer what I call a party in a box, because sometimes we'll do flavor treats for them, like flavored popcorn. We will create character cups for them. And it's really like a party in a box, including banners and, you know, things of that nature. So we can customize pretty much to any event. We'll make you a custom cake topper if it's Dr. Seuss to match your cake. And that's really given us some additional streams of income and revenue from that. But it's also allowed us to get really, I would say, super creative. And I've been surprised about how many people want delivery now, and how many people, you know, would like to even do what we call a contactless porch pickup. So it's been exciting. But we've always had the idea of wanting to have a storefront. And now in the space of COVID and seeing how we've been able to pivot, we've started to second guess, you know, do we want to have the overhead of a storefront when we've been successful, you know, over the last few months with COVID?
Great, thank you.
Excellent. Are there any other questions for Monika? I was hoping Kim would have a question, but she seems to have dropped. So
She may have lost connection there.
all right. Well, if there's no other questions, Monika, thank you so much for joining me. This was wonderful. And many successes to both you and Greg in your business.
Thank
and
you.
To everybody else, have a great rest of your Wednesday. Bye
Thanks
now.
so much.